But my name is Carson Olinger. I am president and CEO of Capital City Equity Group here in Atlanta. We are an investment firm that specializes in real estate acquisitions, wholesaling, and consulting. So what we do is we buy properties, we hold them in our inventory for portfolio properties, like rental properties, what have you. We've got close to 45 different properties in our portfolio. We fix and flip homes. That's something I love to do. I think it's a lot of fun. And we also wholesale properties. So when we get properties under contract that don't necessarily meet our criteria, then we go ahead and dump those off. We don't need them, we'll wholesale them off. So that's opportunities for you guys if you want to buy some properties too. But we also do some consulting and coaching like we are here on the REI USA platform. I'll give you my name and phone number. I think some of you have seen me before. Once again, Carson Olinger with Capital City. And my number is 678-478-2230. That's 678-478-2230. My email is carson@capcityeg.com. And you can follow me on Facebook at Carson Olinger. You can subscribe to my page, my Capital City Equity Group Facebook page. You can also follow me on YouTube. I post a lot of on-site videos and stuff at on that page, on the YouTube page. And then I also host another webinar on the REI USA platform called Walk the Flip. And that's at last Monday of every month at 9 a.m. And we just got off that call here a little while ago. And one thing we do there is we also take that into the field. So we will be having a Walk the Flip on location coming up here in October up in Gainesville, Georgia, which is a northern suburb of Atlanta. So if that's something you want to do and come out and be involved with an active flip and ask questions on site and see what we're doing, we're going to go over numbers and everything like that for all the new investors that are trying to get into this. They want to see what one really looks like. So it's free. I ask you to just come on out. We're willing to help answer questions. We're going to have at least that one on the beginning of it. And then probably at the end, you'll be able to come out and see the finished product. So it's really pretty cool. This is the Georgia New Investors Forum. I am your host, Carson Olinger. So I am here to answer your questions. A lot of times what I'll do is just open this thing up and everyone ask questions that they want, because if I've got an agenda and I'm going through certain things about what I think you need to do, it might not tick all the boxes. So I kind of leave this free form. I've got some topics we can talk about if it kind of gets slow and people don't have questions they want to ask. But I want to start off because everyone's coming in here, they're hungry. They want to get some stuff going. They want to get off the bench. They want to get in the game. They want to do what I'm doing. They want to do what other people are doing, and they have questions. So what I'm going to do, since we have a small group, looks like we've got 3 people in here with me. We've got Evelyn, Jonathan, and Michelle. I think Jonathan told me he doesn't have a speaker, so he can't talk, but I'm going to open our speaker systems up so that Michelle can talk and Evelyn can talk. So if you want to, just hit your microphone button and unmute yourself, and we can have some discussions and ask any questions that we want to talk about. Jonathan, oh, he's on his new phone now, he said. So I'm going to open Jonathan up. So right now, if you guys want to, unclick your mute button and you guys can talk freely, and I can just call on you so we don't talk over each other. So Jonathan, since you've just got your phone on, do you have anything you wanted to ask specifically?
Hey Carson, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Jonathan.
Nice to see you. It's nice to see you again. I think I met you first time when you were doing the Walk the Flip in Tequila.
Oh, excellent. Yes, thank you.
I have a questions about, finding a good contractor. I mean, how do you find your contractor and how do you vet them basically?
That's a great question, Jonathan. I've been pretty fortunate. I've found the first guy I had, he did a decent job, but his quality wasn't there. And I eventually rooted him out and found somebody else. But the long and short of it is, Jonathan, is you need to network and find other people. Now, of all the things I'm willing to give out and for free and I'm willing to share, one of the few that I won't is my contractor. And most people are going to be in that same boat. And the reason is simple. If I start giving him out, then he's going to get booked up with other people. And then when I need him, he's not going to be available. And I keep him busy enough. So I think he's happy with me. And there's some people that'll do that because they have multiple contractors. But the best way that I found is simply networking. So Jonathan, you came out to walk the flip. You've come out to some other meetings, I'm sure. So what I would do is when you're there, start asking around for general contractors, that because you're either going to get a referral to one or you're going to find one that's physically there. The other thing I would do is go down to a Home Depot that's local to the flip you're dealing with, not necessarily a Lowe's, but a Home Depot. Get there early in the morning. I'm talking like 7:15 in the morning. And when these guys are coming in, start looking at their trucks, start getting ideas of who's who in the zoo local to that area, because if they're buying from that Home Depot, then probably they can service a property in your area. So now, obviously, this is something you're doing ahead of the fact that you got a house, right? You don't want to have a house and now I need a contractor and try and find somebody because they might be stuck on a job. So you want to get these guys lined up ahead of time. So as you're thinking forward, I went out to Home Depots and I would start writing names of, you see their names on their trucks, at the back of their trucks. And I'd look at the guys coming in. I'd see, is this somebody I can work with? Do they look professional? Those kind of things. And then I'd chat them up. I'd either write their name down or call them up just so it's a little more anonymous, or I'd walk up to the pro desk and say, hey, I'm an investor. I'm looking for some guys that can do this. Is this something you can do? What do you guys do? And I found 2 or 3 guys like that. I used, I think, one of them on a flip and he turned out pretty well. Now, do you know what kind of work they're going to do just by having a conversation? No, but you can start to get at least a background. And then what this guy did is he emailed me references of other people he used and pictures of some of the work that he did. And he actually gave me a house that he was working on and I was able to go in and see it. So that's a great way to do it. That's how I did it. And I found a guy, not the guy I use now. I found him simply through another friend that referred him from a roofing opportunity that we had. And he was a roofer. He said, yeah, you got to use this guy. And I've been with him ever since. So I've been rather fortunate, but just getting started, that's how I would approach it. I'd go to a Home Depot early in the morning. I'd go to networking meetings. I'd ask other people that are flipping homes who they're using, because contractors know contractors. So that's how I would approach it. Does that help?
Yes, I never thought about the Home Depot idea, but that really makes sense. So
yeah, it takes a little bit extra effort, but you get up early, grab a cup of coffee and some donuts and head down there. It's amazing what you can get. QT. Okay. Also, QTs are good because the guys are in there grabbing some coffee, or their crews are getting water or whatever for the day. You can kind of pick up some names. And as I'm driving around throughout the day, I'm writing all these numbers down. I'll pull up next to a truck, I'll take a picture of it, and then I'll call them. And I'll, because if you're hungry for a GC, you're going to need to find a guy. So it's going to be your job to find one, right? And once you get tied into 1 or 2 of them, you're going to be in pretty good shape. One problem I run into typically is my GC is only good in a certain geography because he's based out of Grayson. So he's good on that east side of town. Once I start getting too far north into Gainesville or too far west over into Canton or something like that, I got to find somebody else. But at that point, he's outside of my geography, and I don't want to be humping it all the way across town to flip a house. I'll just wholesale it. So think about your time too. You want to be where you want to be. I mean, once you start scaling up, it gets a little bit different. Then you've got people maybe that can go and travel for that. Any other questions from Evelyn or Michelle?
Hi, Carson.
Hi, Evelyn.
Mine is not a question. It's more to do with, so I took your advice. I've really been networking on Meetup. And that has been very resourceful because now we have someone who can do a floor plan, which was our biggest trouble, finding out who could give us a nice floor plan for the home that we want to flip. And Joseph, you gave me a contact for someone who could loan us money. My husband is, in contact with him, almost finalizing the paperwork. So that's exciting.
Joseph Castaneda?
Yes.
Yes.
And, we're looking forward to the October walkthrough flip, just so, we can learn as much as we can. And yeah, I'm really excited. You've been very helpful. Thank you for generously sharing what you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So what Evelyn's referring to is, I mentioned it, I don't know, somebody may have popped on late. I have another webinar that I do at 9 a.m. on this platform called Walk the Flip. And we do take that out into the field. So If you follow me on Facebook or subscribe to my pages, there will be marketing going out on that shortly. We've got the house under contract. Matter of fact, I'm going out there today with my interior designer, and we're going to see about, we don't know what we're going to sell this house for yet. We don't know we're going to sell it for 500 or 700, which is kind of on the fence here. And we're debating whether we're going to put in the higher end finishes or go with the basic finishes. So we're going to evaluate that. We got to see what the market is going to allow us to do. It's a unique property. It sits on 12 acres. It's got a lake. It's got a 6-car workshop. It's got a 3-car garage. It's a 5,000 square foot house. It's got, I said it's got a spring-fed lake that's got trout in it. It's got a pavilion down by the lake. So it's a mess. The house is a complete mess, but it's got potential. And 12 acres with a lake, I mean, there's some people that'll pay for money for that. So we're debating on what we're going to sell this house for. But to that point, what Evelyn was alluding to is she's come out, and I think Jonathan mentioned it as well. We will have another on-site location called Walk the Flip in Gainesville coming up. So just keep that posted. What that allows you to do is come up, be in the property, see the property. We'll go over the numbers. We'll go over what it takes. We'll answer any questions specific to that. It's about 2 hours or so, and you come and go as you feel. If you can only do it for an hour, great. But we'll be there for about 2 hours. You can see the property, and you'll see what it takes to go into it, what it costs, and all those types of things. But more importantly, it kind of gets you around some other people. So hopefully you can use that as a networking opportunity as well. I'm a huge proponent of networking. You're only as strong as your network allows you to be. And the more limited you are on your network, the more limited you're going to be in your business growth. So I will say this about what I've done. I started off networking and networking and networking purely from a wholesale perspective, because that was the easiest barrier to overcome. Wholesaling is an easy entry point. Doesn't really cost you any money. It's just moving paper. So I realized when I first started 4 years ago or so, that if I could build up a clientele or a buyer's list, if you will, by finding other people, all I needed to do then was find a deal. And when I found a deal, then I could market that deal to those buyers. And in so doing, by meeting all of these people, I was able to ask all the silly questions that we're always afraid to answer, right? And I didn't care. I was like, boom, boom. Hey, what's 2 + 2? What's 2 + 2? And it's 4. Well, how do you get there? And I just ask all those questions. So I had what I needed to get out of those meetings. And not only that, but people recognized me because I was the guy answering those questions. I was proactive as opposed to sitting feeble in the back corner, just like this, listening and listening. And they don't recognize who you are. I was in their face. I was like, hey, I'm a new investor. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I got an idea. I want to do this. I need some help. And this is what I think I can do. And people are like, I love your attitude. You're willing to learn. And these people are smarter than me. And I surrounded myself with them. And I grew by building a buyer's list and then speaking the language. I'll never forget, I was at a real estate meeting, and this guy, he brought in, he's a white guy, speaks English, but he brought in an Asian counterpart. It was his helper. She was Chinese. She spoke fluent Mandarin. And he had this little catch. He's like, hey, I'm going to get started. Everybody make sure you get a pen and paper, because at the end of this, I'm going to teach you how to make $1 million in real estate. Okay, I'm in. You got me engaged. Okay, so he goes through this whole hour-long presentation, and about every 15 minutes, he would stop and say, don't forget, get your pen and paper, because at the end, I'm going to tell you how to make $1 million in real estate. He did this 2 or 3 times to reinforce your brain. So at the end, the Asian lady, the Chinese woman, gets up in front of everybody and starts speaking in Chinese. No one had a clue what this woman was saying. Chinese, but it's going on for 10 minutes. And we're like, okay, we have no clue what's going on. And at the end, she stopped and he goes, now you know how to make $1 million in real estate. And we're all looking at him like, what are you talking about? Well, obviously this was done for an impact, right? The idea was, if you immerse yourself in the language you want to learn, you will learn it so much faster than as if you were to study it. And what he was saying there was, if I dropped you in the middle of Beijing as a white guy that doesn't speak Chinese, you're going to figure out a way to function a lot faster than if you're sitting here trying to learn Mandarin. because you're going to need to go to the bathroom. You're going to need to get something to eat. You're going to start picking up words a lot more quickly because it's integral to your survival. And how that relates to real estate was that he was saying, surround yourself with people that are constantly speaking real estate, because it's going to rub off on you. You're going to learn the lingo. You're going to learn the language. You're going to learn the people. You're going to learn the processes a lot faster. You're going to learn the culture by immersing yourself in it. So go to all of these real estate meetings, as many as you can, and you will learn. So I loved when he did that, because even though it was kind of cheesy and corny, it stuck with me. Now I'm telling you guys that, and it works. So I can't stress enough. It's a process. It's not a get rich quick concept. There's guys in here that come into the real estate world and want to get into wholesaling because it's an easy entry point. And what I think, this is a sidebar, I think there's going to be laws in the next several years that are going to eliminate most of these wholesalers, meaning you have to have a real estate license in order to transact real estate. So you're not just going to be able to move contracts. You're going to have a license. I can buy the house and flip it. I don't need a license to do that because I own it, right? And I can flip it, and I can sell my house for sale by owner because I own the house. But I think there's laws being passed around the country right now that are limiting what wholesalers can do, because the real estate agents and their brokerages and their legal teams are going after them to say, hey, we've got enough money to influence the congressman to pass these laws to eliminate these guys. So we're going to do it. I think that's where it's going. I'm not concerned about it. I don't have a license, but I'll just buy the property and then I'll wholesale it from there, just double close it. That's really the way around it. But my point is, wholesaling is an easy entry point into this business. I recognize that. And as I mentioned, I went to a lot of real estate groups and I learned the business. And then once I did 5 or 10 or 15, 20 wholesale deals, I started to see how the process was. Because I say, I want to see the flip. I just wholesaled this deal. Can I come by and take a look at it? Yeah. And the guys would let me in. They were proud to show me what they were doing. And I learned from them because they were smarter than me. They'd done more than me. Fine. I had no problem with that. And then I had an opportunity to flip one, and I did it. I needed money, but I had established so much credibility in being honest, being helpful, being willing to work with other people, and had integrity within my business and integrity in my numbers, because I learned from other people what those numbers should look like. Most wholesalers fall short because why? One, they're not involved with the deal. They're just moving it on their desk. A deal comes across their desk, they put $5,000 on it and move it out. They haven't even seen it, so they don't even know what they're talking about. Two, if they have seen it, they don't know how to cost out the rehab. Hey, it's a $25,000 rehab. I get in there and look at it, it's a $60,000 rehab. I don't have any trust in what you're saying. Hey, it's a $300,000 ARV. It's a $220,000 ARV. Where are you getting these numbers from? So I lose confidence in these guys and I don't even deal with them. It's a bunch of junk. So I knew that. So I wanted to make sure my numbers were right. So I asked people to help me. Hey, Bob, I've got this house opportunity. I want to get it under contract, but I need to know what price point to get it at. Would you mind walking this property with me to give me an idea of what the rehab is going to be, and then help me structure the deal? And when I sell it, when I wholesale it, I'll give you $2,000. Boom. Did I pay him? No, the deal paid for him. But I learned in the process, and eventually I didn't need Bob, right? I just kept moving on, and I grew and I grew. Let the deal pay for it. So are there any other questions? Michelle, do you have any questions? Evelyn, Jonathan? You guys are going to be quiet today, huh? This is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to ask the questions that you want to get answered to where you guys can help out. I've got some things I'll talk about here in a little bit, so it's not just going to be dead air, but I want to facilitate the questions, because if you're not proactive, the world's going to walk right past you. You need to get your neck out there and ask some questions and get some of this. And this is what this is. This is for new investors. There's no stupid questions. It could be any topic. It could be wholesaling. It could be flipping. It could be short-term buy and holds. It could be BRRRR method. It could be, what does this term mean? What does that term mean? So what do you got? Evelyn, go ahead. I see you unmuted.
So the property that my husband and I want to flip is our first real real estate deal, and we were hoping to do it before winter. And you mentioned that there's a flip you're working through, in October, and that's during winter. So I wanted to find out from you how you feel about doing that much work in a house during winter.
Well,
Like,
I don't want to.
to.
So why does the season matter?
Okay.
Well, I mean, ask me. It seems like that seems to be a hurdle. So why, in your mind, is winter a problem?
I think just because this is not my home of origin. And I think cold just really, I don't know, it just makes me shut down in very many ways. So I don't know, I would assume that people would want to cut corners during winter as well. I don't know. It's just an assumption, I think.
I think you're right. It is an assumption. So do you own the property now?
Yes, my husband owns the property.
When did he buy it?
He inherited it from his dad when he passed last year.
Okay, so you haven't purchased it, you just inherited it.
Yes.
Okay, so I will say this. Be careful on the tax implications of this, okay? Mm-hmm. Because it was an inherited property, there's going to be a tax basis. So before you get started on this, mm-hmm. talk to an accountant and find out what your tax basis is going to be. So let's say, I don't know who is involved with this, but if it was his dad, and his dad bought the house for $50,000 and he willed it to your husband, and you're going to flip the home and make $300,000 on it. Mm-hmm. Your tax basis is going to be predicated on what present value is at the time it was willed, not $50,000. So you need to look at what your tax implications are going to be. Okay. I'm not an accountant. Okay. I'm just saying, don't overlook this. Talk to your accountant about what that looks like, because you don't want to get burned down the road. I'm not saying don't do it. It's still going to be a profitable deal. You will make money on it if you do it right, but you might have more taxes than you might have thought because of inheriting it, depending on how it was passed down. So that being aside, if you buy a house, time is your biggest enemy. Time. You have money in the deal, potentially. If you start flipping this, Evelyn, you're going to have money in the deal, right? You're going to have construction costs, material costs. Yeah. These things start adding up. So if I take $100,000, let's say $50,000, I take $50,000 and I have the ability to invest that money in a bank and make 3% return, that's 3% on my money, right? But if I take that $50,000 and I buy $50,000 worth of wood and granite and roofing materials and everything else, and it's sitting in a house, how much rate of return am I getting on that money?
Right.
None.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. So your cost of money needs to be factored in to what you're doing. And what causes that? Time. Okay. So when you get a flip, my job is get in and get out as fast as I can. Doing it right. I'm not going to cut corners, but I'm going to do it right. So I want to manage that and make sure it is being done right. But I want to get my money back out so I can reinvest it in again. Because if I take a 2-month job and make it 4 months, I may have missed an opportunity to buy something else because I didn't have the money to do it because it's tied up in that house. So time is your biggest enemy. So when it comes to seasons, forget it. Don't worry about it. You're going to have problems with the weather any way you cut it. It could be the summertime. It could be raining for 2 weeks and you can't get a roof on. Right. It's irrelevant. You just move at the fastest pace you can go, and the weather will dictate what it dictates. Hey, it's freezing outside and we can't do anything with the water right now. All right, wait 2 days and it'll stop freezing or whatever. You just deal with it. I mean, there's certain things you can't control, but don't let those things control you by thinking they're going to be a problem. Winter's no different. People wear jackets and gloves. They put space heaters in properties. I flip them year round. Don't let that be a barrier. So if you want to get started on it, get started on it. Because ultimately what you're doing is you're making excuses. I did this for years. I did. I had a friend of mine that said, Carson, you'd be really good at this. Why don't you come work with me? Not for me, but work with me. And I said, you know what, Mark, I really want to do that. But next week we're going on vacation. I got to get ready for that. Let me come back from vacation. And then once that's settled, I'll do that. I made an excuse. And he said this to me every time. He goes, That's a really good excuse, Carson. Talk to you in a couple of weeks. I come back, something else popped up. Oh, my mom's sick. I got to go down and see my mom or whatever. That's a really good excuse, Carson. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Year went by, year and a half went by. Finally, I could tell he was mocking me. That's a great excuse, Carson. Oh, great excuse. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And so I did it. And here I am. So a lot of times just stop making excuses, stop looking for reasons not to do it and finding ways to do it. Change the mindset.
Okay. So you said to ask a lawyer what the tax implications will be after the house has been flipped.
No, I didn't say that. I said ask an accountant.
Oh, ask an accountant. Correct, an accountant.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney either. But ask an accountant what your tax implications are going to be. Tell her the story, or him the story, whoever it is. We inherited this house, and they're going to probably need some information on it. But you'd rather know that because whenever you flip a house, you're buying it for 100,000, you're putting 50 in it, and you're selling it for 300. You got costs of, selling costs, fees, power bill, insurance, all these things are write-offs. So let's say you make $80,000 on the house, profit, pure profit. You still have to pay taxes on that, right? This is an investment. There's capital gains that are tied to that. And so just as a pure tax perspective, you're going to pay capital gains on that 80,000, depending on what your tax bracket is. Okay. So you're going to pay taxes regardless, but now that it's inherited, you need to know what you bought that house for, right? Where's my basis? Because dad bought it at 50, 45 years ago.
Right.
It appreciated 10 years ago. We got the house when he passed away. What was that house worth then? That's your basis. And there's some write-offs that might go in there because of estate taxes and things like that you might be able to work around. I'm not an accountant. All I'm suggesting is you talk to an accountant to make sure that that's correct because it was inherited. When you buy it, it's completely different. When you buy it, you know what your cost structures are. I bought it for 100, I put 50 in it. I had transactional costs, I had holding costs, boom, boom, boom. I made this at the end. Now I'm taxed on that. It's pretty clean. Okay.
Okay.
Jonathan, I'd seen you had taken yourself off mute and then you put yourself back on. Did you have a question? Jonathan, did you have a question too? I saw you had mute off for a minute.
Yeah, no, yeah, I do, but now I forgot what was the questions.
Okay, no concern. Michelle, you're pretty quiet there. Did you have anything you wanted to contribute or ask? Maybe not. Okay, so we got a little bit of a quiet crew. So I want to give you some content that's going to help you guys out.
Carson, can I ask one more question, please?
Absolutely, anytime. Go ahead, Evelyn.
Okay, so based on your expertise, how long would you say it should take us to do this fast flip? What's a good time frame? What's an integral time frame?
You're asking me how long it should take you to do this flip?
Yes.
Well, I have no idea. I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about a 2,000 square foot home, a 1,500 square foot home? Are you adding new construction? Are you adding square footage or you need permits? I don't know what is entailed here.
It's they're about 1,200 square feet. It's a 1950s home. It's a
19 what, 15 or 50?
50.
Okay.
It needs a new roof. It needs a new HVAC. The heating system is in the living room. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We want to make it 2 baths.
Okay, where is it located? Like Atlanta?
Southeast Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Southwest Atlanta.
Southwest Atlanta. So 30310?
Yes.
Okay. 1950s. All right. So I haven't seen the house. I know that area. Several things that are going to come into play. One, you mentioned adding a bathroom. Are you going to add that on existing square footage, meaning making the bedroom smaller, or are you going to blow out a wall and add square footage?
We're thinking about working with the square footage that we have.
Okay.
But we do have some porch space that we can do the bathroom and do the laundry at the same time.
Okay, the porch space is a concrete pad.
Yes, it is.
Okay. But you're going to add new structure, meaning a roof and walls to that.
It has the roof, but it's a screen door. It's a screen mesh. So once we close that up, that's what we're thinking of putting the bathroom.
Okay, so for that, you will need a permit.
Okay.
You're dealing with Fulton County?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things, and I haven't seen the house. I'm kind of blind here, but
I could send you the floor plan.
that's okay. You don't need to send me that, but the process is like this. So in a house of that age, has it ever been renovated or is it 1950s?
It's 1950s, no renovation.
Okay, so you're going to have several things I can tell you right now you're going to have to deal with. One is electrical. You're going to need a whole new electrical panel in there. All new electrical run throughout the entire house. Okay. You're looking at $6,000 to $8,000 just to do that, and you will need a permit to do it. Period. Okay, because it needs a new panel and all new wiring. Secondly, you're going to have plumbing issues to deal with. Okay, it's probably on sewer, but you're going to have cast iron pipes, and so you're going to need to tear out the cast iron pipes and put in PVC. Once again, you're going to need a permit for that. If you're adding square footage and enclosing a patio, you're going to need a permit for that because the footings on that concrete pad are probably different than the house footings that support the home. So even though you've got a concrete pad, you're probably going to need to reinforce that concrete pad properly in order to support the weight of putting on the walls. Okay, so you're going to need permits. Don't do this without permits or they will shut you down. And it's going to be a nightmare. Then you have to undo all your work. And then you're going to have to do with all the cosmetic stuff inside, HVAC, everything else. So based on what you're telling me you want to do, adding that bathroom, now knowing it's a 1950s house that hasn't been updated, you're looking at about 5 to 6 months.
Wow.
Okay. And that's only because you got to deal with permits.
Okay.
Okay. So the sooner you get started, the sooner you're going to be done.
Got you.
If you want to get started now, I'd get started now. But that's going to, you have to get someone to pull the permits to do that. And you need to get those permits pulled first before you start everything else, because they take a while to get done. And one of the first things you're going to do is tear the walls out and start working the electrical, because you can't put new walls up without the new electrical.
Okay.
As well as all the plumbing you have to reroute.
So does the general contractor get the permits, or is that my responsibility?
So that's a good question. So a general contractor, if they are licensed, there's a lot of people that call themselves general contractors. But if they're a licensed GC, that doesn't mean they've got insurance or they've got whatever. That means they have a general contractor's license. Then they can pull permits legally. Okay. If you own the home, in this case, it sounds like you do, then you guys can pull permits on your own. It's a little tricky, but I would rather have the general contractor do that.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I do not know all that.
Well, of course not, but that's why you're here. So hopefully you could take this and go forward with it. Okay. But do you have a general contractor already lined up?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Ask him if he's licensed as a GC and if he can pull permits, and tell him your scope of work and tell him what permits do I need to have done to do this. He should be able to tell you that. But those permits might take a couple of weeks to get back.
Yeah.
But in the interim, you could be doing other things. You know, just because you're waiting on a permit doesn't mean you have to stop, not start. You can start tearing walls out, flooring up. You can start putting a new roof on. You can start doing all that stuff.
So the general contractor we have doesn't do electrical and plumbing, so we need to find someone for that.
Well, the general contractor typically doesn't do any of that. The general contractor hires that out.
Right.
Okay. What the general contractor does is he hires out all the subs, the subcontractors. So a GC kind of sits as the umbrella, and he hires the plumber, and he hires the electrician, he hires the flooring guy, he hires the concrete guy, he hires the carpenters. So all of these guys are coming to him. He's your singular point of contact. That takes all of this work away from you and pushes it on to him. Now you have one contact. All the invoices go to him. He gets the invoice from the roofer. He gets the invoice from the HVAC. He gets all of that. He gives you one price, you pay him. It's easier. You don't want to be writing invoices to everybody.
Right.
Then you become the general contractor. You want to be the investor. I'm taking this money. I'm going to make this house nicer. I'm paying you to go do that. Go do that. While you're doing that, I'm going to find 10 more houses because I don't want to be over here dealing with invoices and, oh, my carpenter left. That's not my problem. I'm paying you to do that. You go do that.
Yeah.
Because those problems will happen.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds like we're ready to run.
I would get started as soon as you can. Don't make excuses.
No more excuses.
Jonathan, you got anything else?
No, not at the moment, Carson.
Okay, so let me do this. Michelle sounds like she's quiet. So she's probably trying to learn, and that's fine. I was pretty quiet at some of my meetings too, but my personality allows me to go forward. So I want to give you guys some information that will help you in this business. So one of the biggest questions I get
apologize.
asked, and
Good
Evelyn,
morning.
what's that?
I said it's Michelle. Good morning. I apologize. I'm trying to
Oh.
get ready for an appointment and listen in.
Oh, that's quite all right, Michelle. That's what this is
Nice
for.
to meet you. Thank you.
You're
for the show.
welcome. Not
Thank you.
a problem at all. I'm glad you were able to join us. I know you were getting ready. I'm glad you were listening. Do you have any questions that you wanted to ask on the Georgia New Investor Forum?
Not as of yet. I'm just listening to learn. That's pretty
perfect.
much why.
I appreciate you letting us
in.
know. That's quite all right. There's no right or wrong. As I mentioned, Michelle, as you were listening, everybody's got their own pace. You're going to learn at your own rate. And if you don't have any questions, that's fine. They'll probably pop up. But hopefully you gleaned some information from Evelyn and Jonathan and us answering their questions. And that's what this is really for.
Yes.
But what I also want to do, since maybe we're out of questions at this point, we do have some time. I want to provide you some information I think that will help you guys, because it sounds like we're all kind of new here and you need to kind of get out of the gates, right? Get off of the bench and get into the game. And so how do we do that? On the beginning of this call, I mentioned networking. I'm a huge proponent of that. So I'm not going to talk about that again and just reinvent the wheel here. But what I'm going to talk about is proactivity, okay? One of the biggest problems I see with any new investor is the ability to be proactive, okay? Instead of waiting for something to happen, creating your opportunities, okay? It's important that you drive your business, okay? Which that may mean, hey, I got to answer more questions than I did last time because I know myself and I'm a little bit shy and I don't want to ask questions. That's a barrier. I've coached some people that very, very intelligent, but in social environments, they were like a mouse. And I got them into these meetings. I'd introduce them to people and I broke that ice. And they would come to these meetings with me and I'd say, hey, here's so-and-so. I'd like you to meet so-and-so. She's new to the investment world. She's just getting started. She's really eager and she's intelligent, boom. And I'd facilitate the conversation with 2 or 3 people. We'd bounce around from person to person. And then I'd kind of pull back just a little bit and walk over and leave her standing there talking to somebody else. And she's kind of looking at me and I'm like, you're doing fine. And she just have a normal conversation. And then I'd come over and say, hey, I'd like you to meet this other person. And I'd get her out of that situation and bring her to another one. And by the end of the night, she's like, that was fun. And I said, I know, it's a lot of fun. It's just a matter of breaking the ice. No one's going to bite you. So be proactive. If you need help doing that, ask someone, hey, I'm really good at this, but I'm not so good at that. That's the beautiful part of networking. You've got strengths, Michelle. You've got strengths, Evelyn. Jonathan, you've got strengths. You've walked your life this far. You've got expertise in some area. You're smart in some area. I'm not going to say stupid because no one's stupid, but you're ignorant. Ignorance means you just don't know, right? I don't know higher end math. I'm ignorant to that. It's a known fact, but I'm good at financial math. So understand your strengths and your weaknesses. When I work one-on-one in coaching situations with people, one of the first things I do is I said, I want to know what I want 3 goals from you. I want a short-term goal, I want a mid-term goal, and I want a long-term goal. That could be 3 months, 6 months, a year. That could be 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. I don't care. They're your goals. But I want to see what your goals are. Where do you want to be in that period of time? 6 months, a year, 18 months. Give me some goals. Okay. I used to coach and manage people, and I had people working for me. So we did this a lot because this was a measurable and attainable concept. It was written down and it was measurable. Now, a goal is not going to be, I want to have $10 million by next week. Is that realistic? Is that doable? Are you really going to be able to do that? Is that attainable? No, it's not. That's ridiculous. So let's create something. Hey, I want to close my first deal in 2 months. That's realistic. That can happen, right? It's attainable. It's measurable, meaning, did I close that deal in 2 months, right? It's a measurable opportunity. So create 3 goals for yourself. The other thing I would ask you to do is find out who your best friend is. Husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, buddy, whatever. Doesn't matter. Somebody that you trust implicitly. Okay. Mom, dad, I don't care. Go to them and say, I want to have a conversation with you one way. I want you to tell me what you think my strengths are and what my weaknesses are. Okay. I'm not going to come back and you, yeah, but you, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to have a self-growth opportunity. And you know me the best. I want you to be critical of me. Tell me what I'm good at and tell me what I'm bad at. At the same time, before you go in there, you've written down what you think your strengths and your weaknesses are. So now you've got an idea what you think you're strong at, and those will be easy. I'm good at this. I'm good at that. I'm good at this. What's going to be hard is being self-critical and say, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. So one of the things I put down is I procrastinate. Okay. I'm not good at doing some things because I procrastinate. So I always try and work on that. I'm always putting things off in the last minute, bam, 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 bam. I'm knocking them out and everybody's happy and it's good, but it was stressful. I need to do better. My wife, she's great. She schedules things out. She's always trying to get me to schedule things. So she helps me keep focused with that. What I am good at is conversational, this kind of stuff, social engagement. I'm really strong at that because I'm confident in who I am. This is what I did. Okay. I also am really good at sales. I'm good at deal structure. I'm good at math. Okay. These are the sales. That's what I did. I'm really strong at that. What I was weak at when I started was structure, planning out my day, making sure I did the things I needed to do, goal orientation, right? The other thing I was weak at is I didn't know what an ARV was. ARV, what does that stand for? I don't know, but everybody seems to be talking about that. It's pretty important. I needed to understand what that was and how I get to that point. Okay. Once I know what the name of it was, I needed to understand, well, how do I determine what that house is going to be worth? How do I know that? Well, I have to understand the market, right? The other thing I needed to know, and I had a little bit of an insight because I had some construction background in college. How do you cost out a rehab? How do I know that this is a $20,000 versus a $50,000 rehab? How do I know that? So I worked with other people to figure that out. So I wrote down my weaknesses and my strengths on paper. And I went to a friend of mine. I said, tell me what you think my strengths and weaknesses are. And they lined them all up with me. They pointed out some strengths that I didn't see in myself because they knew me really well. Actually, I did this with 3 different people because they knew me in different capacities. And they told me what I was good at. And a lot of it lined up to what I had. But there were some things, I didn't recognize that you saw that in me. But then the other side of that coin was my weaknesses, which were only a little bit from me, became a lot longer from them. And I was okay with that because I knew they did it from a place of concern and love and helping me grow. Now I have all this information. Okay. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. I can build a business around that because I know what I can do is really good. And I know what I need to find out from other people. So now when I'm building my network and I'm out meeting people in the world in real estate, and I know my weaknesses and I'm talking to Jonathan, and I'm talking to Evelyn, and I'm talking to Michelle, and I'm hearing things that they're telling me because of their walk in life, whether it was real estate or not, I'm gleaning that Jonathan's really good at this and I'm bad at that. I want to be involved with Jonathan's life. Evelyn's telling me some things I didn't know about flipping houses, or she's telling me about a business that she ran But I like what she did there. And Michelle was telling me about how she bought a car and she did a creative sales technique I never thought of. And that's a helping me because I'm weak in that area. Okay. And hopefully my strengths are helping Michelle and Evelyn and Jonathan as well, because you're seeing that I've got strengths that you don't have. We've all got something to bring to the table. And you surround yourself with enough of these people, you find out that the strengths that you need to fill in the gaps that you have are within your network. So I surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And I have one rule, and this is funny, and I don't want to sound arrogant by saying it, but whenever I go to any one of these meetings, if I find out that I'm the smartest guy in that room, I leave because it's a waste of my time. I've never left a meeting. Why? Because there's always somebody there smarter than me. And it's my job when I'm at that meeting, because it's a job, because I'm taking time away from my family to go to these meetings, because usually at night, my job is to find those people to make my personal walk better and my intelligence stronger in this field. And over time, that builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And you, by being here today, you're doing the same thing. You're reaching out to me and to other people here and saying, hey, I'm new, I need help. You just need to identify what your strengths and weaknesses are. So I'll challenge you guys, write down your 3 goals: short-term, mid-term, long-term. What I did is I had a 1-year goal, a 3-year goal, and a 5-year goal. And these goals are always changing. After a year, I'm redoing my goals. But I'm looking back at the first year saying, hey, what was my 3-year goal? Because now I'm a year closer to that, right? Am I getting closer to that? And I just keep moving it out and moving it out. So I'm constantly moving forward. Elon Musk said something that I really thought was cool. He goes, create a 10-year plan. Create a 10-year plan. That's big vision, right? And do it in 1 year. You're like, why would I not just create a 1-year plan? Because a 1-year plan, the mentality is I can do this in a year. A 10-year plan is I got 10 years. I can have this huge vision of where I need to be. But now take that vision, consolidate it, and do it in 1 year. Well, wait a minute, I'm going to fall short. Yes, you are. You are not going to be able to do that. If that 10-year plan is a legitimate 10-year plan, you're not going to be able to do it in 1 year. But if you go at it for that 1 year as hard as you have to in order to try and make that 10-year plan, at the end of the year, you might be 5 years into that plan. You'll be so much further along on the road because you're busting it, trying to get into it and do it that you, even though you're falling short and you know you're going to fall short, you're doing it so hard that now your 10-year plans become a 5-year plan. So in the next year, you got 5 more years, you do it, and in 2 years, you've knocked out the 10-year plan because you were aggressive. So that falls back, Michelle, to what I was talking about earlier, is getting off the bench, getting in the game, right? So 3 goals, create those for yourself. Short-term, long-term, or mid-term and long-term. As I said, I made a 1, 3, and a 5-year. If you guys want to be more targeted, do a 3-month, 6-month, and a 1-year plan. And it can be as simple as, hey, I need to find a deal. I want to have a deal under contract in a month. It might be even more simple than that. I need to identify 100 people to call so I can try and find a deal. It needs to be measurable. 100 people. Did I find 100 people? No, I only found 50. I didn't meet my goal. Okay, but it's got to be attainable. Okay, make sure it's a goal. One of the first things I do in the morning is I make my bed. It's a goal I have. I get out of my bedroom and I've made my bed. I've accomplished at least 1 goal for the day. Okay, I'm winning. Okay, create things that you can win. And yeah, I'm talking simple stuff. All right, I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to empty the dishwasher. Just stuff like that. You're winning. In your mind, it changes how you think. You're like, I'm going to win because I'm creating goals and I'm attaining them. Yeah, I got some stuff that's out there, but I'm working towards those. So your short-term goals should be stuff that's attainable. I'm going to make 20 phone calls today. Try and find properties. Did I make 20 phone calls? No, I only made 15. But 20 is attainable. You can do 20 calls in a day. All right. I need to make 4 appointments this week. Can I do that? No. All right, well, I'm going to make 1 appointment. All right. Did you make that appointment? Yeah. You feel much better about yourself because you did what you said you're going to do. So make them attainable and measurable. And if you have those 3 goals, during this week, try and reach out to some people that can sit down with you and tell you what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Couple those with what you have. And what you're going to find is you're going to have what you need to grow you within your business. All right. And then later on, we're going to talk about how to get multiple exit strategies out of a property. Okay. One thing I did from the get-go, and I'm going to allude to this now because we got about 5 minutes, and I want to, if there's any other questions, I want to open it up. I just lost my train of thought. Multiple exit strategies. So when I get a property, I want to make sure that I can do several things with it. I can wholesale it, I can flip it, or I can hold it. Those are the 3 most important things I want to do with any property. I don't want to just get a property under contract that I've got to flip this as my only exit strategy. I want to have multiple exit strategies. Why? Because it gives me multiple options. Because the culture, the environment, the economics change from month to month. And if I got a deal that I might be getting under contract, and then the economy shifts, I'm going to wholesale it. Maybe my contractor gets hurt and he can't go fix that property for me. So now I got to wholesale because I don't have anybody to do it. I want to make sure, or maybe I now came into some extra money, or one of my deals ended sooner and I got extra capital and I want to bring that property in as a rental. I can do that too. So you're going to start thinking about multiple exit strategies, but getting off the bench is the most important thing. Getting involved is right there with it. But when you do that, you have to do that with purpose. And that's what the goals and the strengths and weaknesses will help you with. So I hope that helps. At this point, I'm going to stop briefly, ask if there's any last questions I can answer, and then we're going to wrap up. Does anybody have anything they want to ask?
Yeah, Carson, do you offer mentorship?
I do that, yes.
Is the information on your website?
No, it's something you need to talk to me directly about. A lot of it has to do with geography. And just for everybody else's benefit, I do not ask for money up front typically in most of my relationships, unless you want coaching. Coaching is a little bit different than mentorship. Mentorship is you working at your own pace and me guiding you. And then the deals that we bring to the table pay for me and my time. Okay, that's more mentorship. Coaching is where you hire me. And that's a little bit different. So I don't put it out there because inherently what you have here is expectation versus reality. You're paying me money on a coaching process. Your expectation is to learn this. And if it doesn't meet those expectations, then one party or the other feels like they got kind of shafted. I don't want that. I want to create equitable situations where people are happy. So what I find works best is mentoring, where I can guide you. I can spend time with you either on the phone or in person, but the deals that you find when you are being proactive and you are finding deals and bringing them to the table, I will help you close. And upon closing those deals, the money that you make pays for me because I take a portion of those proceeds. So you're not cutting me checks. The deals pay for them. Coaching is a little bit different. Coaching is a little more personal. Coaching is a little more time constraint. So with that being said, then I need to be paid for on the front end. And that has a little bit different look and feel to it. But we need to understand what type of time commitments are involved and those types of things. So I find typically with our busy lives that mentoring works a lot better, but I do coach.
Okay, thank you. I'll reach out to you about the mentorship.
Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes here. If there's no other questions, is there any last questions or no? So let me give you my contact information again, just in case you need it. Carson Olinger, O-L-I-N-G-E-R. I'm president and CEO of Capital City Equity Group. You can follow me directly at Carson Olinger on Facebook. You can also subscribe to my Facebook business page at Capital City Equity Group. I also am on YouTube. I post a lot of what I do on YouTube, so you can see on-site location stuff. We walk through processes and learning concepts on YouTube at Carson Olinger. I'm also on Instagram. My website is capcityeg.com. It's capcityeg.com. And my phone number is 678-478-2230. That's 678-478-2230. And my email is carson@capcityeg.com. So I hope that all this helps. I would encourage you guys to come out to as many of these meetings as you can. One last note, if you're local to the northern suburbs of Atlanta, I also am president and owner of a REIA, which is a Real Estate Investment Association, a meetup, if you want to call it such. It's called North Point REIA. We have our own Facebook page there, North Point REIA, REIA. We meet the last Wednesday of every month in person at the Tannery Row Ale House in Beaufort. And that's actually this Wednesday. That's in 2 days from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So if you'd like to come out, it's a meetup. You can meet other investors. We have guest speakers come in. This month, we have a lady speaking about insurance and how to protect yourself on fix and flips, buy and holds, and any kind of real estate transactions that you have. So if you need more information on that, reach out to me. I'll send you the link to it as well. But that's this Wednesday, 6:30 to 9:30 at the Beaufort Tannery Row Ale House. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks for joining us here at Georgia REIA. I'm sorry, at not Georgia REIA, at REI USA. And hopefully we'll see you next month. Take care.
Thank you, Carson.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Carson. I can't wait to chime in next time to have more input. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Just have your questions lined up and we'll take them as I go. I want to create the opportunity to do that. So I'll have other content to provide, but I want to keep this to where we can ask questions specific to what you guys need. So thanks for joining us. Go have a great day. Have a great week and take me up on that challenge and come back next month. Let's try and do it out.
I definitely will. Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.